Morning, guys. It's Jen, Not a Real Farm. Check it out, guys. Early in the morning in the greenhouse. Look at all the growth that is happening here. It's amazing. We've had some pretty spectacular weather, but once again, on and off with all of the rain and the heat. But inside the greenhouse, everything is growing amazing. My runner beans are now starting to follow all the way up the trellis. And the grapes have decided, because I haven't trimmed them, that they want to grow right on through this trellis as well. So it's almost like I'm going to have a mixture of beans and grapes. But you can see here now the grapes are starting to wrap themselves right across the trellis. And that is only one plant. Amazing. Here are the grapes. So let me get in here so you see one cluster. We've got two clusters growing, and we've got many, many, many more, but I won't sort of disturb this. I'm going to leave her alone. But it is glorious. Absolutely glorious. You can see down in here, our peanuts have begun to grow really, really well. Let me get close. So these are my Ecuadorian peanuts, never mind the weed. And as you can see, they're growing super good. They like where they are. They're sort of protected by the corn on the other side. So they've got a little bit of shade in here, so it's not too hot. The soil is where it needs to be in terms of moisture. So we'll see what kind of peanuts we get this year. Kind of excited about that. Here are my wine grapes. So we've got some wine grapes I put in here, and as you can see, they've started to really sprawl out a bit. So we're going to have to choose a spot where to put those in the greenhouse. The coffee plants are doing amazing. It's a hit or miss with them. They don't like to be waterlogged, so I kind of have to baby them a little bit. They like a lot of water, but you can't sit them too much in the water, otherwise they get cranky. Our double red sweet corn. Look how tall that one is. It's actually all the way up past the trellis. And then you can see here, everything is just growing like gangbusters. Even the elderberries are getting bigger. The blackberries have decided that they are just going to grow crazy right out of the bin. We've got our rice patch doing its thing. Check out the horseradish. This is so much more horseradish than I had last year when we did the video together with me taking out the horseradish roots. You can see here that there's still more growing. New leaves. I mean, this is going to be a lot of horseradish. So as much as I like horseradish sauce, you guys know that most likely I'm going to have to put some of the roots up in the store because there's absolutely no way that I'm going to be able to use all of this horseradish. It's unbelievable. And here we go. So another runner bean that I've got up here. So we've got to take it back and we've got to push it back onto the trellis. But they are going crazy, the beans this year, because of the heat in here. And down here, if you take a look, we've got honeydew that's actually growing right out over the bin. So that's perfect. That's where I want it. What I can do is I can just move it straight down the middle here into the bins, and we'll see if it'll give us some honeydew. Crossing fingers. And there's something else I wanted to show you guys today, if I can find which plant it's on. Oh, yes, here it is. Check it out. I'm getting tomatoes. You guys see that there? So my tomatoes are getting to be a fairly good size. So these are what's called the Sart Roll-O-S tomatoes. So these are going to be, they're going to be actually a dark purple and a bright yellow. So let's see how they turn out. Let's see how they taste. This is the first year that I'm growing them. So you can take a look here and you can see now the peppers in the front have all popped up. The tomatoes in the back are all getting height. Cucumbers are growing well. We've actually harvested some cucumbers. And then way at the end here, of course, is my grapes. So once again, they're attaching themselves to the cattle panel. It's growing taller, and we'll manage it. We'll make sure that next year we trim all of this down right to the stem. So now I can control it growing this way and control it growing this way. So we'll see how we do with that. Give us a little bit of shade in here, I think. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to skippity jump right out to the other beds here so you can see how far along everything is on the outside bins. All right. Here we go. Along with all of that heat and rain comes the weeds, right? Let's get rid of this guy because they just take right over. I've got dill that's decided to volunteer growing back, so we're going to leave that in there because pickling season is coming up, guys. We've got to do some pickled eggs. We've got to do some pickled peppers. Get all the dill here. Oh, wow. I have a lot of weeds. But check it out. Everything is growing really, really well. You can see here that there's beans. I've got peppers in here. Broccoli and cauliflower are in this bed as well. I only planted a few of them, not a whole bunch. Here, what we've got are huckleberries. So you can see way down in here, the huckleberries have already started to flower. Now, we do have a little bit of bug damage going on here. And this is my cauliflower, which is really odd because last year they attacked the broccoli, but they left the cauliflower. But this year, I'm getting damage on my cauliflower. So you can see here where they've munched out nice big holes there in the cauliflower. I've kind of just left this out to fend for itself. I'm not going to screen it. If we get some cauliflower by the end of the season, that's great. I just don't want to baby it too much where I've got to start putting row covers and everything on. So we've got some more here. This one's not too bad. Okay, and here's some of our tomatoes. So these ones out here have already started getting flowers. It's got flowers here too. And we've got some white cucumbers. So what I've decided to do with the white cucumbers this year is the cattle panel, of course, goes across here. So what we've decided to do is let the cucumbers grow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach them to the cattle panel. I'm just going to let them sort of hang down vertically from the cattle panel to give us a little bit more room. But these are going to be the white cucumbers. And let me tell you, they were some of my favorite cucumbers last year. Okay, and here we go. So this is the potato patch. So check it out. This is going to give me a ton of potatoes. So harvesting season this year is going to be really good from these grow beds. I can already tell I've got super healthy potatoes here. Little bits of weeds, but not too much because I think for the most part the potatoes are sort of choking out the weeds. But everything looks spectacular here, so I'm really, really happy. I love the potatoes because you really don't need to do anything to them. They sort of take care of their own. And over here we've got the Italian soup bean. So this is my Nona blue beans. So remember, the Nona blue bean is sort of a sapphire color. And basically all they do, since they're a pole bean, is I allow them to climb right across the cattle panel here. And they take up as much room. You can see I actually have some stems from last year. They will go straight across the cattle panel. And then we can collect the cool bean seeds. We've got so much of them to make a soup. Your soup actually turns blue. It's actually cool. So depending on the temperature, what happens is sometimes they'll be gray. And if it's cooler, you'll actually see them turn a sapphire. So it's actually a really cool plant to have. My asparagus patch, guys, let me tell you something. This is what really happens off camera when you ignore a bed or you don't have time to weed it. You can see all the weeds that I've got through the asparagus patch that I have to now sort of pay attention to and take it out. So nothing is ever perfect. We all, the content creators, go through issues where we have to really, really, we get sidetracked and we still have to come back and weed. So it's nothing's ever perfect. Got some watermelon down in here. So the watermelon is going to start trailing out soon onto the ground. And what I did was I saved some of the spare tomato plants and I just plucked them in the bed here. So these are not going to get, I can already tell these are a determinate tomato. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll throw the spare ones in the bin if I'm not sure what they are. But these are going to be determinate. You can see how short they are. They're not going to get very tall. So we'll probably have some kind of beefsteak, which is what I grew as a bush tomato last year on these plants. And we have calendula. So if anybody likes calendula tea, really good for you. It self-sows, so if you let it go to seed, you never have to plant calendula again. And then we have, of course, the haskcaps. So let's see what we got here for berries. So this berry is ready to go. You see how big that one is? Wow. So we've been eating Haskap berries all week. They taste like a wild blueberry and the cross between a plum. So they are awesome. If you haven't gotten yourself some Haskaps, give them a try because, guys, they are super easy to look after. If I hadn't known that, I would have started my Haskap patch earlier. Oh, yeah, really good. And we still have peas. So I'm thinking with the size of this pod, the peas have got to be ready. Let's see. I'm trying to open this up one-handed here. Oh yeah, let's check out the size of the peas here. Hold on, let me just open this up. So here are the size of the peas. Let me get into the sun. Perfect. This is the perfect size of peas that you want. This is a sugar snap pea. It's called Super Sprint. And one of the most amazing peas I've ever eaten. You can eat the whole shell and the peas in it. I love the shellless peas. So we've got a whole patch of peas going up here. I've taken out the lettuce. It's too hot for the lettuce. We've got asparagus that's going to seed. And so everything is really, really growing amazing here in terms of, ooh, look at this. Look at the flowers on the pea plants. Aren't those awesome? I love that. So if we turn around here, you can see now my pepper plants are growing amazing. Check out the height of them and how big they're getting. So I'm thinking, guys, we're going to be harvesting definitely peppers probably by, I'm going to say the end of August. And then here, these are all bean plants. So you can see the beans have all started to flower. My onions have now gone to seed, so we're going to be collecting that. Tons and tons of flowers now. So we will have an amazing, amazing bean harvest. And then up here, what I've done is I've taken the Cherokee Trail of Tears beans and I'm going to let them trail right across the cattle panel. So there is a lot of growth going on here in these beds. And that's why I said when you have raised beds, you can grow as much food as possible in these beds. You can stuff different things that they tell you not to grow together. They will grow together in a raised bed. I've proven it time and time again. And I think if you have a raised bed, go for it. Break all the rules that you can to grow as much food as possible. So I've got strawberries and peppers and beans together in this bed. You can see here, I'm still harvesting actually quite a bit of strawberries off of these plants. The weather is starting to turn a little bit hot, but the strawberries are still producing. So I'm thinking we can have some strawberries and yogurt. What do you think? All right, so let's take a look at the garlic and potato bed. So here is some of the spare potatoes that I had left over. So guys, if you've got spare potatoes that are actually starting to show the eyes and they just want to grow, toss them in a bed because that's what I do. And I always get an extra set of potatoes out of just keeping the spares from the winter. And here is the garlic in the front patch with the potatoes. So you can see here, right about here, this is where the scapes are. So they're not quite ready yet. I may harvest some of the scapes, I may not. Some of them, what I'd like to do is let them go to seed, but this is another big garlic patch that we have that we're going to be saving the seed from. And like I said, if you do that every year, you're going to be regenerating your garlic for free and you never have to buy it from the store again. I'm going to give that a thumbs up. And that's really it for me today, guys. I just wanted to show you what we've got growing in the greenhouse and what's been going on for the last week and what's growing outside. You can see here that the greenhouse is growing amazing. You can grow such amazing things in a greenhouse and raised beds. So if you haven't got any, grab yourself some raised beds and just experiment and see what you like to grow. But in the meantime, I just wanted to thank everybody and give you a thumbs up for actually subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much to all the new subscribers and everybody that's stuck with me through the Not a Real Farm adventures. If you do want to send me an email, guys, it's notarealfarm@yahoo.com or visit us on our Etsy store at notarealfarm.etsy.com. See you soon.